I want to start tonight with a picture. Two men, same town, same starting wage, same opportunities, walking past their door every single day for 10 years. One of them ends up with a life he's proud of, a family that respects him, a bank account that doesn't frighten him, a body that still listens to him, a name that means something in his community. The other one ends up bitter, broke, blaming the economy, blaming his boss, blaming his upbringing, blaming everybody except the man in the mirror. Now here's the question I want you to sit with. What was the difference between those two men? It wasn't luck. Luck is too easy an answer, and easy answers are for people who don't want to change. It wasn't intelligence. I've met brilliant people rotting in mediocrity, and I've met simple, humble people who built empires. It wasn't even opportunity, because opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, is common. What's uncommon is the will to prepare for it, to seize it, and to stay with it long after the excitement wears off. The difference was discipline. That's it. That's the whole secret. And it's not much of a secret at all. It's just something most people refuse to accept because it demands something from them they'd rather not give. See, everybody wants to win. Nobody wants to train. Everybody wants the harvest. Nobody wants to work the field in the rain when nobody's watching and there's no applause and no reward in sight. Just dirt under your fingernails and a promise you made to yourself that you're now the only one who remembers. I want you to understand something tonight, and I want it to sink all the way down into your bones. Discipline is not a punishment. Discipline is not the enemy of your freedom. It is the very price of it. You have been told, maybe your whole life, that discipline is restriction, that it's the opposite of joy, that disciplined people are uptight and joyless and missing out on life. I am here to tell you that is the biggest lie ever sold to a struggling generation. Discipline is not a cage. Discipline is the bridge between who you are right now and who you were created to become. Without it, you don't have freedom. You have chaos wearing freedom's clothing. Think about it honestly. The man who eats whatever he wants, whenever he wants, with no restraint, is he free? No, he's a slave to his appetite. The woman who spends every dollar the moment it touches her hand, is she free? No. She is owned by her impulses, and impulses make a cruel master. The student who does only what feels good in the moment, who skips the studying and chases the comfort, is he free? He is the least free person in the room because his future has already been mortgaged to his laziness. And one day the bill comes due whether he's ready or not. Real freedom, the kind that lets you sleep at night, the kind that lets you look your children in the eye, the kind that lets you stand tall when the storms of life show up, because they will show up. That freedom is built brick by brick out of 1,000 small disciplined choices that nobody clapped for. Now let's talk about why this matters so much. Because I don't want you to just hear this as another motivational phrase you nod at and forget by Tuesday. I want you to understand that discipline is connected to something far deeper than achievement. It's connected to your identity. It's connected to your purpose. It's connected to the very reason you were put on this earth. You were not created to drift. You were not designed to be tossed around by every mood, every temptation, every excuse that wanders through your mind like a stray dog looking for scraps. You were built deliberately, intentionally, with gifts that nobody else on this planet carries in quite the same combination. There is something inside you that the world needs, and I promise you, laziness will never deliver it. Comfort will never deliver it. Wishing will never deliver it. Only discipline turns potential into contribution. Only discipline turns a dream into a legacy. And here's the deeper truth, the one that ought to shake you a little. How you handle discipline is a direct reflection of how seriously you take the purpose you've been given. If you don't take care of the vessel, your mind, your body, your time, your word, how can you say you take the mission seriously? A farmer who says he loves his land but never plants a seed is lying to himself. A man who says he wants a strong family but never disciplines his own habits is building on sand. Purpose without discipline is just a nice-sounding sentence. It's a New Year's resolution with no legs. I want to talk to you now about responsibility because that word has almost gone out of fashion. We live in an age where people are experts at explaining why things aren't their fault. I understand life is not always fair. Some of you had a harder start than others. Some of you were dealt a hand that would have broken lesser men. But I want you to hear this clearly. Circumstance may explain your past, but it can never excuse your future. The moment you're old enough to make a decision, you are responsible for what you do with what you've got. Not what you wish you had, not what somebody else has. What you've got right now today. Responsibility is the ability to respond. That's all it is. Not the ability to control everything that happens to you. None of us have that. But the ability to respond to what happens to you with discipline instead of despair, with action instead of excuse. You don't get to choose the wind, but you get to choose the set of your sail. And most people, tragically, never learn to set their sail. They just complain about the wind for 40 years and call it bad luck. Let's get honest for a moment, because I didn't come here tonight to entertain you. I came here to wake you up. Comfort is the great thief of greatness. Comfort doesn't announce itself as your enemy. It never does. It shows up dressed as rest, as relaxation, as I'll start Monday, as I deserve a break, as just this once won't hurt. And it whispers those little lies to you every single day. And every single day you believe just one more of them. And years pass, and one morning you wake up and wonder where your life went. I want you to understand, comfort and greatness cannot occupy the same house. One of them has to leave. If comfort is running your life, greatness packs its bags and walks out the door without so much as a goodbye. And if you decide once and for all that you're done being comfortable, that you're ready to be disciplined instead, greatness starts moving back in, piece by piece, decision by decision. Laziness now. Laziness is comfort's lazy cousin, and it's a thief too, but a bolder one. Laziness doesn't whisper, it demands. It tells you the bed is better than the gym. It tells you Netflix is better than the book you keep meaning to read. It tells you scrolling is better than studying, that tomorrow is better than today, that somebody else can do the hard thing while you sit this one out. And here's the cruelest part about laziness. It feels good in the exact moment you give in to it, and it feels absolutely miserable every day after. Discipline is the reverse. It feels hard in the moment you choose it, and it feels like freedom every single day after. You get to pick which kind of hard you want, the heart of discipline now, or the heart of regret later. But understand this, one of those two is coming for you. Life doesn't let you skip both, and then there's fear. Let's talk about fear honestly, because fear has stopped more good people from becoming great people than any recession, any rejection, any failure ever has. Fear of what people will say. Fear of trying and falling short. Fear of being seen, really seen, and being found lacking. Fear of success, even because success brings visibility, and visibility brings responsibility, and some part of you would rather stay small and safe than stand tall and be tested. I want to tell you something about fear. Fear is not a wall. Fear is a hallway. It only feels like a wall because you've never walked through it. Every person you admire, every person whose life makes you say, I wish I had that. They walked through that same hallway. They were afraid, and they moved anyway. That is the entire definition of courage. Courage isn't the absence of fear. Anybody who tells you that has never done anything worth being afraid of. Courage is discipline overriding fear. Courage is saying, I feel the fear, and I'm doing it anyway, because the mission matters more than the emotion. Which brings me to something I need you to write on the inside of your eyelids, because you're going to need it on the hard mornings. Discipline must always be greater than your mood. Let me say that again, because your whole future depends on whether you actually absorb this. Discipline must always be greater than your mood. You will not always feel like getting up early. You will not always feel like keeping your word. You will not always feel like showing up to the gym, to the job, to the relationship, to the work that matters. Feelings are real, but feelings are not reliable. Feelings change with the weather, with your sleep, with what somebody said to you in passing. If you build your life around how you feel on any given day, you will build a life with no foundation, because feelings shift like sand. But when you decide, not when you feel like it, but when you decide once, with your whole will, that you are a disciplined person, that your word to yourself is sacred, that you do what you said you'd do, whether the sun is shining or the sky is falling, something remarkable happens. You stop being a person who is managed by their emotions, and you become a person who manages their emotions in service of their purpose. That right there is the beginning of real maturity. That is the mark of someone who is ready to lead, not just other people, but their own life. And that's what I want to speak to you about next, because self-discipline was never meant to be a private virtue that only benefits you. Self-discipline is the birthplace of leadership. Nobody follows a person who cannot govern themselves. Think about that. Would you trust a man to lead a company who can't manage his own temper? Would you trust a woman to lead a family who can't manage her own finances? Would you follow someone into battle who breaks their word the moment it becomes inconvenient? Of course not. Leadership is not a title somebody hands you. Leadership is the natural result of a life so disciplined, so consistent, so anchored, that other people start to trust you with their own future. Before you can ever lead a team, you must first lead yourself. Before you can inspire discipline in your children, you must first practice it when they're not looking. Before you can build a business people respect, you must first become a person who respects deadlines, respects promises, respects the value of a day. Self-leadership is the root, and everything else, influence, income, impact, those are just the branches. You cannot skip the root and expect the branches to hold. Now let's talk about value, because this is where a lot of people get confused. They think success is about get the money, get the title, get the recognition. But I want to flip that thinking on its head, because that's backwards, and it will keep you frustrated your entire life if you don't correct it. Success is not about how much you can get. Success is about how much value you can create and how disciplined you are in delivering it, day after day, whether anyone is cheering or not. Money is not the reward for wanting it. Money is the reward for the value you bring to the marketplace. If your income is disappointing you, don't curse the marketplace. Examine the value you're offering it. If your relationships are disappointing you, don't curse the people in your life. Examine the value, the presence, the discipline you're bringing to those relationships. Everything you want in life is sitting on the other side of a bridge called consistent, disciplined value creation. There is no shortcut across that bridge. There is no bribe you can pay to skip it. You either build it plank by plank, or you stay on this side of the river wondering why everyone else made it across. And this is where personal accountability has to enter the picture. Because I have watched too many talented people waste extraordinary gifts because they refuse to look honestly in the mirror. Accountability means you stop auditing everybody else's failures and you start auditing your own. It means when the numbers are bad, you ask, what did I fail to do? Before you ask, what did they fail to do to me? It means you stop keeping a scoreboard of everyone who wronged you, and you start keeping a scoreboard of every promise you made to yourself and whether you kept it. I'll tell you something that might sting a little, and I mean it with love, not judgment. Most people's lives are not being sabotaged by their enemies. Most people's lives are being sabotaged quietly, slowly, invisibly by their own undisciplined habits. The snooze button, the skipped workout, the unread book, the unmade budget. The conversation they were too afraid to have, the apology they never gave, the effort they held back, because giving their full effort and still failing felt scarier than giving half an effort and having an excuse ready. Accountability is the discipline of taking that excuse away from yourself. Once you can no longer blame anyone else, you finally become powerful, because now the solution is fully in your hands. I want to bring something into this conversation now that I believe with my whole heart, and it's this. Discipline is not just a practical tool, it is a sacred responsibility. However you understand your relationship with the Almighty, I believe you were entrusted with gifts, with time, with a body, with relationships, with a season on this earth, and none of it was given to you to waste. There is an old and true principle that whatever you plant, you will eventually harvest. Not maybe, not sometimes, but always, in due season. You don't get to plant laziness and harvest abundance. You don't get to plant excuses and harvest excellence. The harvest always matches the seed. Even when the season between planting and harvest tempts you to believe the rules don't apply to you, I believe discipline is a form of stewardship. You have been given talents, some of you 5, some of you 2, some of you 1, and the question that will one day be asked of you is not, how many talents did you receive, but what did you do with what you were given? A life of undisciplined comfort is a life of a talent buried in the ground out of fear, out of laziness, out of a refusal to risk and to labor. Don't you dare stand before your own conscience someday and have to admit you buried your gift because getting up early felt inconvenient. Don't you dare let fear talk you into burying what you were entrusted to multiply. And I believe with everything in me that character is built in the places nobody sees. It's not built on the stage. It's not built when the cameras are rolling or the crowd is watching. Character, real character, is built in the secret place, in the early morning when you get up, though nobody would know if you didn't. In the moment you tell the truth, though, a lie would have been easier, and nobody would have caught you. In the discipline you maintain when you are completely, utterly alone with your choices. What you do in secret is what determines who shows up in public. You cannot fake discipline forever. Eventually, life puts you on a stage, and whatever you built in the dark gets revealed in the light. So let me ask you some questions tonight, and I want you to actually answer them, not just let them float by like background music. If your children turn out exactly like you, not richer, not more disciplined, not braver, just exactly like you in every habit and every choice, are you satisfied with that outcome? If the next 10 years look exactly like the last 10 years, because you kept every single habit you currently have, is that a future you're excited to walk into, or one you're quietly dreading? Because here is a law of life that never bends for anybody, regardless of how talented they are or how much they wish it were different. You will not rise above the level of your discipline. Your income, your health, your relationships, your influence, your peace of mind, all of it has a ceiling, and that ceiling is set by how disciplined you are willing to become. You can want a bigger life all you want. Wanting has never built anything. Wanting has never raised a family, built a business, transformed a body, or restored a broken relationship. Discipline builds. Wanting just watches. I need you to stop negotiating with your excuses. I need you to stop treating your feelings like they're the final authority on what you're capable of. I need you to understand that every single day you wake up, you are being handed a fresh, unrepeatable 24 hours, and what you do with those hours is quietly writing the story of the rest of your life. Nobody is coming to discipline you into greatness. Nobody is coming to make you read the book, wake up early, keep the budget, forgive the person, finish the project, or have the hard conversation. That job, the most important job you'll ever have, belongs to you and you alone. And I want you to hear this too, because encouragement matters as much as conviction. It is not too late for you. However long you've been undisciplined, however many years you feel like you wasted, however many times you've started and quit, none of that determines what happens next. The past is a place for lessons, not a life sentence. Discipline doesn't ask how long you've been undisciplined. It only asks what you're willing to do starting today. The moment you decide, really decide, is the moment the story changes. I've watched it happen. I've watched people rebuild everything, their health, their finances, their families, their character, not because their circumstances changed, but because they changed. They stopped waiting for motivation and started acting on decision. Motivation, understand this, is unreliable. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings fade with the sunset. But decision, backed by discipline, doesn't need motivation to keep going. It just needs you to show up again tomorrow, whether you feel like it or not, because you gave your word, and your word is who you are. So here is what I leave you with tonight. Somewhere out there is a version of you, stronger, wealthier, calmer, more respected, more at peace, more alive than you've ever felt. And that version of you is not waiting for luck, and is not waiting for the perfect circumstances, and is not waiting for somebody to rescue him or her. That version of you is waiting on one thing and one thing only. Your decision right now tonight to stop negotiating with comfort and start honoring discipline. Every excuse you've been carrying, put it down. Every year you've wasted, let it teach you, then let it go. The past cannot hold you unless you keep handing it the leash. You were not built to shrink. You were not built to drift through your days managed by moods and excuses and fear. You were built to rise, to labor, to lead, to create value the world can feel, to stand one day and know in your bones that you did not waste what you were given. That future is not a fantasy. It is a decision away, not a feeling away, not a lucky breakaway, a decision away. And decisions, unlike luck, are always, always in your hands. So decide it right now. Decide that starting today, your discipline will be greater than your mood, your purpose will be greater than your comfort, and your accountability will be greater than your excuses. Decide that you are done being a spectator in your own life. Get up early, keep your word. Do the hard thing before it's convenient. Plant the seed even when you can't see the harvest yet. Because it is coming, it is always coming. For every person disciplined enough to keep planting, You have greatness sitting inside you right now, tonight, in this room, in this moment. And the only thing standing between that greatness and the world is your willingness to become disciplined enough to release it. So go. Go be relentless. Go be consistent when no one's watching. Go build the life your future family, your future self, and your future legacy are depending on you to build. You are not average, you are not stuck, and you are not out of time. You are one decision, one disciplined, unshakable decision away from becoming unstoppable. I believe in you. I believe this is your season. Go out there and win. Good luck to every one of you, and thank you. Thank you for giving me your time, your attention, and your heart tonight. Go build something extraordinary.